Hi, I'm Pam Laren. I'm David's oldest sister. David is the youngest in our family, and we're about 12 years apart. I'm going to tell some stories about David, how cute he was, how smart he was. About 2.5, and he's a little bit young, and I taught him how to play slapjack. And it was so delightful to hear his giggles and to watch him pull all those face cards into his winning pile. When he was 3, he learned how to play Old Maid and War and Go Fish. And when he was 5, Mike and Lydia and I pulled out the Battleship game and introduced him to that. Mike was always the winner, almost always. I won very seldom. So when it was David's turn, I didn't let him win very much. And there were some tears and there was some frustration. And then he asked to play again. In 1976, I was married. And at our wedding, David didn't know very many of the guests. He didn't know Jim's side of the family, my in-laws. He didn't know my college friends. And he would hide behind my wedding gown and peer around. And when I organized my wedding photos, I realized just how many he was in. He had photobombed. One year, when we went to visit Mom, my oldest boy was 2, Andy was a baby, and David was 13. And David was only so-so about the babies. Mom was tickled to have grandchildren, and she offered to babysit while David took us on a tour of the national park of Mesa Verde. And he's smart. He knew so many facts. He told us that they were hunters and gatherers, that they farmed. He told us that they used ladders and a pulley system to climb up into the cliffs, into their dwellings. And at one point, David just relished the idea that they practiced cannibalism. A 13-year-old liked that. David discovered role-playing right about then. I would call and talk to Mom, and Mom would tell me that David had given a talk in church. And when it was his turn to talk, I asked him about it, and he was like, yeah, I gave a talk. And on Saturday, I went and visited some friends, and we played D&D. And my warrior was 47, level 47. Those were what our conversations were. When he started school, and I would ask him, did he like his teachers? What was his favorite subject in school? And he was like, yeah. But he was a dungeon master now, and he had a new bard character. When David was older, he came to visit us. My boys were tweens. And of course, David brought his Dungeon and Dragon books and all the paraphernalia, the multi-sided dice and the figurines. David had a really cool dragon figurine that Andy was fascinated with. When Andy discovered role-playing, that was it. He was now a gamer, and he was a gamer, and he would only wear t-shirts that had dragons on them. David was such an influence on Andy. We didn't get to see each other very often. So there were phone calls, and we talked a lot about how David was enjoying the role-playing games. That's pretty much what we talked about until he met and married Misty, and he loved her. He loved her so much. And it was delightful to see that he matured and our conversations expanded, that we could talk about his job and my job, that how the kids were growing up, and that Misty and he had joined a guild online, and they were happy together. I would call and talk, and Misty would be in the background in the kitchen. She would be making David's favorite dessert, and our phone calls were over when that apple pie came out of the oven. It was his favorite dessert. We got a special chance to go down to Arizona when David and Misty were sealed in the temple. It was nice to meet her family. It was nice to see how much David had integrated into their family, to see that they loved and respected him. I wiggled the table. That I was so comforted that he had a family to turn to for love and support. And now David has returned to Heavenly Father. He's with Mom and Marvin and Grandma. I am so blessed that I belong to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and I too will return to our Father in Heaven's presence. And maybe we can play some games. I love you, David. Goodbye for now.